Hello, I am Blaze, and welcome back to Warframe, in which I have committed the cardinal sin of not talking about the major improvements to Warframe's very own best waifu, Nezha. And I can already hear the comments from people who might not watch my content regularly telling me, you know Nezha is a guy, right? This fact is of no relevance to my wild subjective assertion that he is best waifu. The main thing people were looking forward to leading up to this release was Nezha's long-touted Empyrean skin, another design brought to us by Liger Inzuka, and while it does look fantastic and is very well realized, I have to say I was never too excited by it. Don't get me wrong, his ridiculously prominent assets are quite amusing, but part of why I adored Nezha since he came out was thanks to his effeminate androgynous appearance, so the overtly masculine figure doesn't do it for me. Though it does work quite well with Umbra-style colours, which is fitting since an Umbra build works extremely well on him now after all the boosts and changes to his abilities. His stats are mostly the same, but he did get an increase to his base health pool from 75 to 125, giving him 375 at maximum rank, and a decrease in his shields from 75 to 50, giving him 150 at maximum rank. This is a welcome change because shields suck anyway, and he now has a much greater health pool to take advantage of his armor, so he might still look like a squishy boy, but he's actually surprisingly tough. Firewalker is now a set duration rather than channeled, a change I was skeptical of, but being able to regenerate energy while it's active is indeed very convenient, and you can recast it at any time to refresh its timer before it runs out too. I just keep forgetting to refresh it. Oh, and you still get your sprint speed boost from it like you did before. It's basically the same in all other respects, though it does mean you can't just build up an infinite pyroclastic flow now, if that meme build meant a lot to you. Warding Halo is far better now, though changed from invincibility to a 90% damage reduction while active, being more similar to Mesa's Shatter Shield, but it ends up working extremely well. The ability now gives you your invincibility absorption period as soon as you begin the cast rather than afterwards, letting you cast it reactively and avoiding the annoyances of getting murdered after you cast it but before it actually starts working. Its damage absorption is itself affected by power strength now, so you can end up with some ludicrous damage numbers as well, and you even get a grace invincibility period when the Warding Halo runs out, giving you a precious moment to recast it, as well as performing a small explosion when it runs out to stun surrounding enemies. These changes also make the augment safeguard significantly better, and Nezha is a perfectly viable support frame as a result, even with the augment's ally penalty of everyone else other than you getting it at half effectiveness. You can also technically get energy back from Rage or Hunter Adrenaline while Warding Halo is up as well, but the 90% damage reduction is potent enough that honestly, outside of super high levels, you won't take enough health damage through Warding Halo for it to be worth it. Divine Spears also gets the instant effect on cast treatment. Enemies in range are impaled instantly when you press the cast button. The cast animation itself is far shorter than it used to be, and you get the added bonus of not being forced into another animation when Divine Spear's duration runs out. You can still manually retract all the spears with a second cast, which will still use the older animation, but you have complete control over it this time. And of course this now leads into the biggest set of changes for Nezha's abilities by far, since Divine Spears now synergizes with Blazing Chakram. Striking an enemy affected by your Divine Spears will spawn a second Blazing Chakram. In case you missed the memo and don't think this is such a big deal, think again, because Blazing Chakram is Nezha's go-to ability now. Brace yourself because this is a major info dump. Blazing Chakram now marks all enemies struck by it with a duration-based debuff that causes enemies to take double damage from all sources just like Nova's Molecular Prime. As well as that, Blazing Chakram also forces enemies to drop health orbs on death just like Necros's Desecrate, and gives them a boosted chance to drop energy orbs as well, amping up Nezha's support role even more and allowing him to synergize with mods like Health Conversion, Energy Conversion, and Equilibrium. The Chakrams themselves also home in on enemies much more aggressively than they did in the past, letting you mark enemies for death much more easily. It also has the ability for its throw to be charged up just like a glaive, and it will deal more damage and punch right through enemies rather than bouncing off when you perform a charged cast, giving the Reaping Chakram augment's previous trait to the ability natively. Enemies hit by the charged throw will also be knocked down in addition to all of the other effects it has normally. Not done yet, teleporting to a Chakram in flight causes you to be bounced up into the air for a short ways and refreshes your double jump, letting you constantly jump in the air each time you teleport to the Chakram, so he also gets a little bit of Zephyr's thing. And if you teleport to the Chakram with Firewalker active, it no longer deactivates Firewalker, but still does the small area of effect damage and heat proc, and it leaves a circle of Firewalker track centered on where you appeared, so he also gets a little bit of Ember's Fire Blast in there, because why the hell not at this point? And then there's Reaping Chakram, which was previously really bad because it completely removed the Chakram's ability to bounce around, but it no longer comes with that drawback, so combined with Blazing Chakram homing in on enemies more aggressively now, you can actually use it as a moderately effective damage ability, as well as having a shot at spawning even more health orbs if you use it on enemies with his Divine Spears. Good lord, that's a huge package of effects. What? Okay, I got it out of my system. As a result of these improvements, Nezha has skyrocketed in his viability as a frame in general, able to take much more of a pounding, switch around and deal it out in kind, and offer support to teammates in the form of hula hoop damage reduction with the safeguard augment, or a torrential downpour of health and energy orbs. And you can fit so many builds on him now, it's actually kind of frustrating. You'd think that having so many viable options would make building for him easy, and it kinda does, but I have such a hard time choosing what to build for now. As I mentioned previously, he can take an Umbral build well now, since he absolutely benefits from power strength far more than he ever did before, and his newly improved health pool makes him reasonably tough even without Warding Halo. Duration is still great to leave fire all over the place, and lets Reaping Chakram's Mark and Divine Spears keep a hold of enemies for longer, and range is still great for crowd control too, letting Divine Spears cover a huge area, the totally not Fire Blast Ring of Firewalker teleport to Blazing Chakram cover a larger area, and allows Pyroclastic Flow to reach further if you decide to use that augment. In the end, I did settle on a few builds though. My main general build does a little bit of everything. I prefer a little bit of efficiency thrown in here because at moderately high levels and below that, he won't take enough health damage to really get anything from rage effects, and you might end up running out if you cast abilities frequently. Then there is my high level build, which took me through an hour in the Moth Survival mission. This one includes health conversion to take advantage of all the health orb drops from Blazing Chakram, adds Hunter Adrenaline for energy recovery, and uses a half-rank Blind Rage to get better absorption multipliers on Warding Halo without hitting power efficiency too much. And there is also this support build. This one includes both Safeguard and Reaping Chakram for maximum team support, but you can just pick and choose if you feel like using one of them instead. All builds feature Cunning Drift because I like how he slips and slides around so quickly. In conclusion, I love him even more than I did before. Basically, all of the issues I had have more or less been addressed. He is actually shockingly powerful without being a brainless press 4 to win type frame, and he is viable at all levels, from new player that just got access to clan tech, to salty multiple thousand hours logged furry jackass. Not all descriptors in that last one need to apply, of course. And of course, most importantly of all, I can still make jokes about how the Twink frame has the power of slip sliding and permanent lubrication for his butt. Enjoy that mental image. Thank you for watching my look at Nezha's improvements and indulging my terrible jokes. All comments are appreciated, and I hope to see you around next time. If you enjoyed this video, then consider clicking over to one of my other videos, and regardless, as always, take care.